All right, let's just jump right in. This is going to sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but I promise you, it's 100% real. One tiny pill completely changed the entire world economy. Yeah, it didn't just, do what it says on the tin. It reshaped careers, it created CEOs, it totally transformed our workplaces, and it even led to a Nobel Prize in economics.
So how, right? How can something you can literally hold between your fingers have that kind of massive, world-altering power? That's what we're going to dig into. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at this little pill the same way again.
But first, to really get a grip on its power, we have to rewind the clock. We need to go back to a world where this kind of choice, well, it just didn't exist.
And when you look back, you see this shrinking world for women when it came to work. I mean, think about it. In the 1700s, sure, women worked the fields just as hard as men, but they had zero rights, zero ownership. Then came the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. You'd think that would open things up, right? Nope. Factory work actually became this super masculinized thing, and opportunities shrank even more. Fast forward to the 1950s, and the path for most young women was basically set in stone from birth.
This was the mantra. Finish school, get married, have kids. Just imagine for a second, you're dreaming of becoming a doctor, maybe an engineer, but all you hear from everyone is that phrase, over and over. Your future felt like it was already written for you, before you even got a chance to pick up the pen.
And then, bam, it arrives. And we're not talking about just some new medicine. This was a full-blown revolution packed into a single dose.
And this is the absolute game changer. For the very first time in human history, women could reliably, confidently say, you know what? I decide when I become a mother. I decide what my life is going to look like. It was this fundamental shift in power, in sheer autonomy.
And the impact? It was immediate. It was seismic. All of a sudden, women could invest in themselves first. They started delaying marriage to go to college. And they didn't just enroll, they flooded into fields like law, medicine, and business, places that had been, for the most part, boys' clubs. You could literally feel the foundations of the entire workplace starting to shake.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The numbers are just staggering. Look at this. Before the 1960s, women's enrollment in higher ed was, well, it was low. But once the pill became widely available, whoosh, the numbers just skyrocketed. This wasn't some tiny little bump. We're talking about lecture halls suddenly filled with aspiring female doctors and lawyers. The whole professional landscape was changing right before everyone's eyes, and the data was just undeniable.
So this all sounds like a perfect success story, right? More education, more opportunity, problem solved. But here's where the story takes a really interesting and kind of frustrating twist. Because with all these incredible gains, with women storming into these high-powered professions, did it actually solve the wage gap?
Yeah, not at all. Not even close. In fact, you could argue it did something else entirely. It exposed a much deeper, much more stubborn problem baked right into our economy.
And that problem has a name. It's called greedy work. It's a term coined by the brilliant economist Claudia Goldin. And here's what it means. It describes jobs that don't just reward you for working long hours. They demand your total 24/7 availability. And they financially punish anyone who can't or won't give it to them.
Let's make this real. Go back to the 1980s. You've got a female lawyer. She's in the same courtroom, trying the same cases, putting in the same hours as her male colleague. But he's earning more. Why? It's not because he's a better lawyer. It's because the whole system was set up to reward not just your performance, but the idea that you are endlessly available. An expectation that was, and let's be honest, often still is, placed more on men.
So you see, the pill didn't create this problem. No way. What it did was open the floodgates. It allowed millions of women to pour into these careers, only to smash headfirst into these invisible, greedy rules that had been there all along.
And don't think for a second this is ancient history. It happens right now, every day. Take a look at this. Two doctors. They have the exact same degree, work at the same hospital. The female doctor has a child, and she needs a bit more flexibility, so she reduces her hours. Her income? It just plateaus. Meanwhile, her male colleague, he leans in. He takes on more of that greedy on-call work, the late nights, the weekends, and his income just soars.
And this gets to the absolute heart of it. The wage gap today, it's not really about education levels anymore. It's happening inside the same professions between people with the exact same degrees. It's a penalty for needing or wanting flexibility.
And look, this isn't just some fringe academic theory.
In 2023, Claudia Goldin's decades of research into this very topic won her the Nobel Prize in Economics. This is it. This is the mainstream, Nobel-validated explanation for why that gender wage gap is so damn persistent.
What her work proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that the wage gap isn't some black and white photo from the past. It's a dynamic, modern economic force that is actively shaping the financial lives of millions of people right now, today.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the pill's true legacy is, well, it's incredibly complex, isn't it? Of course, step one, it gave women a level of freedom they'd never had before. Step two, that freedom completely transformed our economies. But maybe, just maybe, its most important legacy was something it never intended. It pulled back the curtain and revealed the hidden, greedy architecture of our modern workplaces.
So the next time you hear someone say, "Oh, it's just a pill," you'll know the truth. It was never just a pill. It was a diagnostic tool for the entire global economy. It was the catalyst that changed everything, and, in the process, showed us all exactly what still needs to change.